The official declaration came on a Tuesday. Council Prime Thektar's chromatophores pulsed with barely contained disgust as he read from the crystalline tablet hovering before his massive cephalopod form. By unanimous vote of the Galactic Council, humanity is hereby classified as a Level 0 civilization due to their demonstrated cowardice and unwillingness to engage in necessary conflicts. In the human delegation section, Ambassador Elena Vasquez sat quietly, her hands folded in her lap. She had expected this moment for months. Around her, 63 alien species displayed various forms of contempt mandibles, clicking dismissively, energy fields flickering with disdain, harmonic voices rising in patterns that translated to mockery. "The evidence is overwhelming," continued Councillor Vexini, her crystalline form resonating with righteous indignation. "When the Keatonai invaded the neutral zone, humanity withdrew their patrol ships. When the Vorthok pirates attacked merchant vessels, humans offered diplomatic solutions. When the Zephyrian Empire demanded tribute from weaker species, humans suggested peaceful negotiations." General Morthok of the hegemony leaned forward, his 6 arms gesticulating with military precision. "In 300 years of galactic membership, humans have never participated in a single military action. They flee from every confrontation, hide behind bureaucracy, and offer endless committee meetings where warriors should offer swift justice." The accusations continued for hours. The Meridian Collective cited humanity's refusal to join their glorious war against the Spiral Consortium. The energy beings recalled how humans had inexplicably withdrawn from the purification campaign against the machine intelligences. Species after species presented evidence of human cowardice, their voices building to a crescendo of unanimous condemnation. Through it all, Elena sat in silence. "The human response to every crisis," Thektar concluded, "has been retreat, appeasement, and pathetic attempts to understand their enemies. They are unfit to stand among the warriors of the galaxy." The vote was unanimous. Humanity was stripped of its military voting rights, excluded from defense councils, and relegated to the status of a protected species, requiring supervision by more capable civilizations. Elena finally stood. "May I speak?" The chamber fell silent, more from curiosity than respect. What could a member of a coward species possibly have to say? "You've made your decision," Elena said quietly. "But I want to ensure you understand what you're doing." "Threatening us now?" General Morthok laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Will you hide behind more committees?" "No," Elena replied. "I'm offering you one last chance to reconsider. You see, there's something you don't understand about human behavior. We don't withdraw from conflicts because we're afraid of our enemies." She paused, her dark eyes scanning the assembled representatives. "We withdraw because we're afraid of ourselves." The chamber erupted in derisive sounds. Thektar's tentacles writhed with amusement. "Afraid of yourselves? What possible threat could a species of cowards pose to anyone?" Elena's expression remained grave. "You want to know why we suggested diplomacy with the Kitani? Because we ran probability models and determined that military intervention would result in the complete extinction of their species within 72 hours. Not defeat extinction." The laughter died. "You wonder why we offered negotiations instead of fighting the Vorthak pirates? Because our initial response plan involved converting their entire home system into a navigational hazard. We thought that might be considered excessive." Councillor Vexini's crystalline form flickered uncertainly. "You're bluffing. Your species has never demonstrated such capabilities. Haven't we?" Elena activated a holographic display. "Let me show you something from our historical archives. This is footage from what we call World War II, fought on our home planet with primitive chemical explosives and basic nuclear weapons." The display showed images that made several species immediately avert their sensory organs. Cities reduced to ash. populations vanishing in microseconds, industrial-scale destruction that spanned continents. This, Elena continued, is what we did to ourselves with technology you would classify as barely above stone tools. We fought this war for 6 of our years, and by the end, we had developed weapons capable of sterilizing our entire planet. The chamber was completely silent now. We learned something important from that war, Elena said. We learned that humans are very, very good at killing. Unnaturally good. Frighteningly good. So good that we scared ourselves into pacifism. The display changed, showing more recent footage, human industrial capacity, the speed of their technological development, the efficiency of their resource utilization. Every time you've seen us retreat from conflict, we've been running calculations. How many of your species would survive if we fought the way we fought each other? The answer, Council Prime, is usually 0. Tektar's chromatophores had gone completely still. You're claiming that your cowardice is actually restraint? I'm saying that when a species develops the ability to exterminate itself and chooses not to, that's not cowardice. That's evolution. Elena's tablet chimed softly. She glanced at it and sighed. Unfortunately, your declaration has just changed the situation. You've officially classified us as unable to defend ourselves, which means our self-imposed restraints are no longer applicable under our own protocols. What does that mean? Whispered Dr. Valex of the Science Consortium. It means, Elena said sadly, that I've just received authorization to demonstrate why we've been so careful not to fight. The lights in the chamber began to flicker. Not the steady illumination failing, but something more fundamental, reality itself, seemed to be stuttering. The Ketanai Empire, Elena announced, checking her tablet, has just ceased to exist. Not destroyed, temporally edited out of the probability matrix. They never were. The assembled representatives stared at her in horror. The Vorthak pirates are experiencing what our military calls aggressive evolution. Their consciousness is being upgraded until they understand why piracy is mathematically impossible in a universe where all matter is connected. More reports came in. The Zephyrian Empire found itself unable to remember why it had wanted to conquer anyone. The Spiral Consortium's entire military doctrine had been replaced with an inexplicable urge to write poetry about the beauty of peace. This is madness. General Morthak shouted, but his voice was already changing, becoming softer, more contemplative. This is what happens when you force a species that has spent centuries learning to control its violent impulses to stop controlling them, Elena explained. We don't fight wars, Council Prime. We delete the concepts that make war possible. The chamber was transforming around them. Where once there had been formal diplomatic seating, now there were gardens. Where intimidating architectural displays had loomed, now there were fountains that sang in harmonics that made violence seem like a quaint historical curiosity. You called us cowards, Elena said, her voice carrying across the impossible space. But we were never afraid of you. We were afraid of what we might do if we forgot why we chose to be peaceful. Tektar stared at instruments that now insisted war was a form of collaborative art, his chromatophores cycling through colors that hadn't existed moments before. Can you reverse this? Elena smiled sadly. The changes are consciousness-based. Your species are becoming what they always had the potential to be, too evolved for violence. You'll remember fighting the way you remember being afraid of the dark as children. But we're warriors. General Morthak protested, though his voice now carried overtones of confusion, as if he couldn't quite remember why that had seemed important. You were warriors, Elena corrected gently. Now you're something better. Something that doesn't need to prove its strength by dominating others. As the transformation completed, the Galactic Council found itself unable to remember why they had ever thought humans were cowards. The concept of cowardice itself had become as obsolete as the fear of monsters under the bed. "We tried to warn you," Elena said as she prepared to leave. "We spent 300 years showing you that the strongest warriors are those who choose not to fight." The last thing the council heard before reality finished reorganizing itself around principles of cooperation rather than conflict was Elena's final observation. True strength isn't the ability to destroy your enemies. It's the wisdom to help them become your friends. And in the new universe that humanity had gently nudged into existence, the concept of enemies had become as impossible as the idea that consciousness could be confined to a single form or species. The cowards had inherited the galaxy by teaching it that there was nothing left worth fighting for.